Imagine for a moment a force of nature, a wildfire sweeping across a dry prairie, a river carving a canyon through solid rock, a newborn star exploding into being. These are entities defined by motion, by raw, untamed energy. They do not pause for permission. They do not fear the mess of their own creation. They move, they break, they transform. The modern mantra, move fast, break things, learn faster. You can always clean up later, captures a sliver of this primordial spirit and applies it to the human endeavors of innovation, growth, and self-actualization. It is a philosophy born in the crucible of Silicon Valley, but its echoes resonate in the deepest chambers of the human heart, where the desire to create, to impact, and to evolve wars with the fear of failure, the weight of perfectionism, and the tyranny of the status quo. As your life coach and psychologist, I want to dissect this mantra not as a literal business strategy, but as a powerful psychological archetype. It is not a universal truth, but a specific medicine for a specific ailment, and to understand its value, we must first diagnose the condition it seeks to cure. Paralysis by analysis, the chronic stagnation of overthinking, and the soul-crushing pursuit of flawless execution before we have even begun. The human psyche is often its own most formidable jailer. We build prisons from what-ifs and pad the walls with the need for external validation. We treat our ideas, our projects, and even our own identities as fragile porcelain, to be handled with such care that they never see the light of day. We confuse preparation with action. We research endlessly, plan meticulously, and wait for the perfect moment, a moment that, like a mirage, recedes endlessly into the future. This is the territory of the fixed mindset, where the primary goal is to prove oneself capable and avoid proving oneself incapable. In this safe, sterile space, nothing is broken, but nothing is ever truly built either. The thing that remains unbroken is often our own fragile ego, protected from the bruising but necessary feedback of reality. Move fast is the psychological intervention against this stagnation. It is a call to prioritize momentum over certainty. From a neurological standpoint, action precedes motivation more often than the other way around. The very act of moving physically, mentally, emotionally triggers a cascade of neurochemicals that foster engagement and focus. It breaks the hypnotic trance of rumination. When you move fast, you are not being reckless. You are engaging in a form of behavioral activation. You are telling your anxious brain, we are not waiting for the fear to subside. We are building the evidence through action that we are capable. This speed is not about haste for haste's sake. It is about building velocity to crash through the barriers of inertia and fear. It is about switching from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, where the goal is not to look smart, but to get smarter. And the only path to that is through engaged, often messy, experimentation. Then comes the most provocative and most misunderstood part of the mantra, break things. This is not a license for nihilism or irresponsible chaos. Psychologically, breaking things is the deliberate dismantling of cognitive and emotional structures that no longer serve us. What are these things? They can be outdated beliefs about our own limitations. They can be perfectionist standards that ensure we never start. They can be inefficient workflows, toxic relationships, or business models made obsolete by a changing world. To break a thing is to accept that it is not sacred, that its current form is not its final form, and that its destruction is a necessary precursor to creation. This is an incredibly difficult concept to embrace because we are wired for conservation and predictability. Our attachment systems cling to the familiar, even when the familiar is painful or limiting. The act of breaking, therefore, requires immense courage. It is an act of faith, faith that on the other side of the broken pieces lies a new, more functional, more beautiful configuration. The core of the entire philosophy lies in the third command: learn faster. This is the engine that makes the chaos meaningful. Moving fast and breaking things without learning is just chaos. It is trauma without growth. But when you embed rapid, rigorous learning into the cycle, every broken thing becomes a data point. Every failure is no longer a verdict on your self-worth, but a vital piece of intelligence about what does not work. This is the essence of post-traumatic growth applied to daily life. You are not just surviving the breaks. You are being forged by them. Learning faster requires radical honesty and a suspension of the ego. It means looking at the shattered pieces of your project, your plan, or your expectation and asking, Not whose fault is this, but what is this teaching me? This reflective turn transforms a potentially shame-inducing experience into a masterclass in reality. It builds resilience not through avoiding falls, but through mastering the art of getting up, dusting off, and understanding why you fell. You can always clean up later is the permission slip that makes the entire process psychologically tolerable. This is the compassionate part of the mantra. It addresses the overwhelming fear of the mess itself. Many of us are so terrified of creating a mess, a messy draft, a messy first attempt, a messy conversation, that we freeze. The idea that the mess is not permanent, that it is a temporary, manageable phase in a larger process, is liberating. It creates a psychological container for the experiment. Think of an artist's studio. The creative process is messy. Paints are mixed, canvases are splattered, sketches are crumpled. But the artist knows this is part of the work. The studio can be cleaned after the masterpiece or the valuable failure is achieved. Applying this to our inner world, it means giving ourselves permission to have messy emotions, to have unpolished ideas, and to make mistakes without those things defining our final state. The cleanup is the period of integration, refinement, and consolidation. It is when you take the raw lessons from the broken things and codify them into wisdom. It is when you edit the messy first draft into a coherent narrative. It is an essential part of the cycle, but it must come after the act of creation, not before. However, no potent medicine is without its side effects. Applied indiscriminately, this philosophy can become pathological. A life coach must warn you of the shadows. When move fast becomes chronic impulsivity, devoid of any strategic direction, it leads to burnout and a scattered sense of self. When break things is applied to human relationships, trust, or ethical boundaries, it becomes a justification for cruelty and exploitation. You cannot clean up later a broken heart or a shattered reputation with the same ease you can pivot a software feature. Furthermore, a constant state of breaking and moving fast can prevent the deep, quiet work required for mastery. Some phases of life and projects require slow, deliberate practice and consolidation. The cleaning up is not just a final step, but an ongoing discipline. The true psychological wisdom, therefore, is to know when to invoke this archetype and when to set it aside. It is the perfect tool for starting a new venture, for breaking a creative block, for escaping a period of life stagnation, or for challenging a deep-seated limiting belief. It is the wrong tool for nurturing a deep, intimate relationship, for providing a stable foundation for a child, or for conducting delicate negotiations that require empathy and patience. So, how do you integrate this into your own life? Start by identifying where you are paralyzed. Is there a project you've been planning for years but never started? A difficult conversation you've been avoiding? A skill you're too afraid to be bad at? This is the territory for move fast. Give yourself a ridiculously small, non-threatening first step and take it today, not tomorrow. Today, break the spell of inaction. Then look at what things need breaking. What is one rule you follow that you didn't choose? What is one should that drains your energy? What is a process at work or in your personal life that is clearly inefficient but that everyone tolerates? Give yourself permission to challenge it, to prototype a change, to break the old model in a small, controlled way. Most importantly, institute a daily or weekly learning review. Ask yourself, what did I attempt? What broke or didn't go as planned? What did I learn from that? Write it down. This ritual transforms chaos into curriculum. Ultimately, move fast. Break things. Learn faster. You can always clean up later. Is a modern invocation of the ancient human cycle of death and rebirth. It is about having the courage to let old forms die so that new life can emerge. It is a philosophy for those who wish to be architects of their own destiny, not mere custodians of a life they inherited. It recognizes that a perfectly clean, unbroken room is often just a museum. Life, in all its vibrant, painful, glorious mess, happens in the workshop, where things are built, tested, broken, and rebuilt, better and stronger than before. Your life is that workshop. Stop waiting for it to be perfectly clean before you begin the real work. Embrace the motion, accept the breaks, cherish the lessons, and trust in your enduring ability to clean, heal, and rebuild. The masterpiece of your life is waiting on the other side of that first, fast, messy, courageous step.